Agave nectar, white potatoes, brown rice, beans. Are they good for diabetics or bad for diabetics? That's exactly what we're going to cover in this video. Before we jump in, who am I? My name is Igor. I'm the author of the Amazon best-selling book called Type 2 Diabetes Reversal Secrets. As well, I run an online personal training company called Fitness Solutions Plus that specializes in helping type 2 diabetics reverse their high blood sugar. So let's jump in. First of all, what are the most underrated foods when it comes to type 2 diabetes reversal? One of the most beneficial foods that you could be eating if you're a type 2 diabetic is beans and lentils. I group these as a category because they have very similar nutritional profiles. What is it that makes these foods so beneficial for diabetics? They're extremely high fiber content. Now, not all beans are created equal. There are differences, nutritional differences, between white kidney beans, red kidney beans, pinto beans, garbanzo, etc. The single best bean for diabetics is actually black beans. And the reason for that is they're extremely high fiber content. 1 cup of black beans contains between 10 and 12 grams of fiber. 1 cup of lentils is between 12 and 14 grams of fiber. Other beans, white kidney beans, red kidney beans, garbanzo, pinto, etc., they're in the 6 to 8 gram range. Also a very healthy amount of fiber. Because as you'll see from my other videos, the second most important nutritional factor when it comes to type 2 diabetes reversal is actually the fiber content. Diabetics have higher fiber requirements compared to non-diabetics. Their fiber requirements are between 17 and 20 grams per 1,000 calories. Beans and lentils really help with that amount. As a side benefit, they're also moderately high in protein. They have about 12 to 14 grams of protein per serving, so quite a decent amount. It's not quite as good as meat, fish, and seafood, but it's what I call a grade B protein. So the combination of very, very high fiber and moderately high protein makes them one of the best things you could eat if you're a diabetic. The second food that I'll cover is boiled white potatoes. Now, I know in the diabetes world, potatoes are a sin. People say you should eat sweet potatoes over white potatoes because they're lower on the glycemic index. As I cover in my other videos, the glycemic index doesn't really matter very much, or if anything at all. But what boiled white potatoes do is they are super, super high on what's called the satiety index. What is the satiety index? It's exactly what it sounds like. It's for how long any food keeps you full for longer. The single most important factor when it comes to diabetes reversal is actually just total calories, not carbohydrates, not glycemic index, just total calories. If you can eat 300 calories of potatoes, but you're going to be fuller longer, you're going to eat less at that meal, you're going to eat less at the following meals. Because of that, regular boiled white potatoes are one of the most beneficial things you can have if you're a type 2 diabetic because they indirectly help you control total calories. Another highly underrated food, which is even questionable if it's even a food, for type 2 diabetics is vinegar. And that's vinegar by itself or vinegar-based dressings like apple cider vinegar, raspberry vinaigrette, etc. What is it about vinegar that makes it so good for diabetics? Well, in different research studies and meta-analyses, researchers have found that by consuming 1 to 2 tablespoons of vinegar before high carbohydrate meals, the A1C over a period of 3 months is lowered by about 0.4%. So it's a nice moderate amount. It's not huge, but it's moderate. What makes it very good is that it lowers the fasting insulin. So it improves insulin sensitivity quite well. Because of that, consider having 1 to 2 tablespoons of vinegar or a vinegar-based dressing before a high carbohydrate meal. And the fourth food that I'll discuss that is very underrated for diabetics, even though it's marketed directly at diabetics, is the regular snack drink called Glucerna, which I cover extensively in my other video. Glucerna is a drink specialized for diabetics. It has moderate protein but relatively high fiber for a relatively low number of calories. Because of that, although it's marketed towards diabetics, people don't think of it. Not enough people know about it. And again, it's covered in my other video, linked in the description below. And another group of foods that is highly underrated for diabetics is fruits and dried fruits. I made an entire thorough video about this, complete with research, and the 2 reasons why fruits and dried fruits are actually fine to mildly beneficial for diabetics. So check out that video in the description below. Now, let's talk about what are the most overrated foods when it comes to type 2 diabetics. But before we jump in, I want to give a definition of what the word overrated means. The word overrated does not mean unhealthy. The word overrated does not mean useless. The word overrated just means it's being attributed a superiority that it doesn't have. It's being attributed benefits that it doesn't have. So don't take this list to mean that you can't have them or that they're useless, just that they are overrated. They're being attributed benefits that they don't have for type 2 diabetics. In no particular order, the first food I'm going to discuss is agave nectar or agave syrup. The reason that this has become a darling in the diabetes world is for a very simple reason. It's natural. And that's true. It was not synthesized in the laboratory. It's not a processed food. But remember, natural does not mean healthy. After all, poisonous mushrooms are also natural, but they're still going to kill you. Poisonous berries are also natural. They weren't synthesized in the laboratory, but they're still going to kill you. Not everything that's natural is healthy. In fact, most things in nature you shouldn't eat. If you've ever gone for a walk in the woods or a hike or a park, you'll see signs, don't eat this, don't eat that. Why? Because somebody ate that and got poisoned or died. So just because it's natural doesn't mean it's healthy. And that's why this has been attributed as a good alternative to sugar, but I disagree. The single most important factor, nutritional factor for diabetics is just total calories, and agave nectar is higher in calories than just plain table sugar. 1 tablespoon of agave nectar contains 60 calories, 1 tablespoon of sugar contains about 45 to 50 calories. So it's not a huge difference, but the calories are actually more in favor of regular table sugar compared to agave nectar. Another highly overrated class of foods, heavily marketed towards diabetics, low-carb dieters, and the keto community, is sugar-free products, which makes sense from a diabetic because diabetes means high blood sugar. Therefore, if I eat something that's sugar-free, it's going to be good for me. Not necessarily. As I cover in my video about diabetes myths, sugar is not the cause of high blood sugar per se, at least by itself. Excess sugar, when it takes you above your caloric limit, that's one of the causes of diabetes. And so if sugar-free products, yes, they might have no sugar or sugar substitutes, but if their calories and their fiber content is the same as the regular alternative, just eat the regular alternative. One other potential downside to sugar-free products is that if they're sugar-free, they're sweetened with something else. If it's a sugar alcohol like xylitol or erythritol, etc., while that does have a favorable effect on blood sugar, it also has a laxative effect. For a lot of people, they can spend a lot of time in the washroom as a result of eating these products. Again, they're not necessarily bad for you if you react to them. They're just overrated. Possibly one of the most overrated foods for diabetics is actually fruit juices. People think fruit is healthy, like an apple is good for you, blueberries are good for you. So if I concentrate that and put that into a juice, that's going to be even better for me. Not the case at all. Again, the two most important nutritional factors are total calories and total fiber. The calories in fruit juices are very high, the fiber is very low or non-existent. It's probably one of the worst things you can have if you're a type 2 diabetic. Brown rice is another one that's a darling of the low-carb community and diabetics because they say it's higher in fiber. However, they fail to quantify higher compared to what? It's compared to white rice. Why are we comparing it to white rice? Why don't we compare it to the actual best fiber sources? And the best fiber sources are things like beans and lentils, which we covered earlier. And so how much fiber does brown rice actually have versus white rice? 1 cup of brown rice has approximately 3.5 or so grams of fiber. 1 cup of white rice has 1 gram of fiber. So their difference is really only 2 grams. And is there a difference in calories? Brown rice is actually slightly higher in calories. Because of that, it might be slightly better, but it's not going to make a huge difference to your body. When you want to make something look favorable, compare it to something unfavorable. But don't compare it to the best thing. The best thing is beans and lentils. That's 12 grams of fiber. Compared to something like white rice, which is 1 gram of fiber. So brown rice, again, I'm not saying don't eat it. I'm just saying it's being attributed a superiority that it doesn't have, at least not a very meaningful superiority. Another category of foods that diabetics often go towards is gluten-free products. Now, here's the first part of this. Most people don't even know what gluten is. They just hear gluten as a catch-all term for foods that aren't good for you. But here's what it is. Gluten is a protein. It is a protein that glues. It is a binder. It's what makes bread be sticky, doesn't crumble in your hands. That's all gluten is. It has no effect on your blood sugar. And so when people see gluten-free products, they're thinking, oh, healthy. It's not healthy or unhealthy. It's healthy for people who have a gluten problem, like celiac disease or non-celiac gluten sensitivity. But if you're a diabetic, you may or may not have these. By itself, it doesn't have an effect on your blood sugar. So, and if it has the same number of calories and fiber as the regular gluten alternative, it's just as good or just as bad. So gluten-free products, if you enjoy them for their own sake, go for it. If you have a digestive issue that gets better when you remove gluten, continue eating gluten-free products. But if you're eating gluten-free products with a thought that it's healthier for you in the absence of those issues, don't worry about it. Another category of products that are often reported as being great for diabetes is smoothies. Now, smoothies are neither good nor bad. It depends how you make them. If you have a smoothie that's 700 or 800 calories and fairly low in fiber, low in protein, and high in, well, fruit juices, is just a fruit juice combined with a milkshake. That's not that great. If you have a smoothie that's, let's say, 300 calories or less and very high in fiber and very high in protein, that's a good food. So it's really about what's in it. And the final group of foods that I'll discuss that are highly overrated for diabetics are nuts and seeds. Like agave nectar or agave syrup, people rationalize they are natural. Therefore, they're healthy. Well, again, not everything that's natural is healthy, and it's a matter of dose. As there's a saying in toxicology, that it's the dose that makes the poison. Likewise with nuts and seeds. They are healthy in very small quantities, but they also have a very, very, very high number of calories. Almost all nuts and seeds have approximately 350 calories per 50 grams. 50 grams of nuts and seeds is not very much. 50 grams is about half a handful. And this is the same for walnuts, pecans, hazelnuts, pistachios, almonds, cashews, etc. All nuts are very, very similar in their caloric content. So a little bit of nuts is okay. A little sprinkling here and there is fine. But to have bags and bags and bags of them will increase the amount of calories you eat. And that's, again, the number one factor when it comes to diabetes reversal. If you enjoy this video, click like and subscribe. This will help you learn when I publish more videos about these kinds of topics about diabetes, and it will help other diabetics learn good information about diabetes. Thank you and goodbye.